Morning everyone. Second morning in Wengen, Switzerland. So yesterday, or in the last video, I kind of went up out the back of Wengen. This time I'm heading down, trying to follow this map, but once again, I've kind of not really done very good planning, and I have a really bad screenshot of a little hike. So it's clear this morning. Yesterday was pretty terrible after the video that I recorded. Had a lot of rain. So I'm gonna head down this path and see if we can get out of the village of Wengen and then make some images. Got a little bit of glow just up in the sky there. Just a little tiny bit of pink in the cloud. But because it's pretty clear, I'm hoping that we might be able to get a good image today. Wasn't really overly happy with the images I got yesterday. Anyway, I think it's just around this corner here and a little bit farther to the kind of lookout. Just leaving the main village of Wengen now. This whole area around Wengen is pretty ridiculous actually for views. It's almost too much to take in. So Wengen's back there, just down the hillside there, and panning across to the left here, you've got the Lauterbrunnen Valley there. That's what we're trying to photograph this morning, but we've got a bit farther to go. So could this be it? Right, time to get set up. Now unfortunately the view is not quite what I hoped it would be. The funny thing about when you look up nice views on tourist information sites, there might be nice views but they may not necessarily translate into nice photographs. Best thing is I've got this place all to myself except for a few sheep there. Before I go and set up the whole tripod, just going to hand hold just to get a rough idea where I might want to put the tripod. So definitely not going to be using the 16mm end because it gets too much of this messy foreground in. So about 25mm should do it, I think. That will let us get the valley in and also the waterfall that's slowly flowing across the valley side there. Ground's a bit sloping here. Going to get the tripod set up over the spot that I want. Try and get it reasonably level using the spirit level bubble built into the tripod here. And then we're going to have to extend the center column, which I don't normally like doing, but there's no wind today, so we shouldn't get any additional shake on the tripod if we do that. Just make sure everything's locked off tight. So I'm slightly underexposing because we've got very bright sky, quite dark canyon at the end there. So I'm also bracketing so I can build a HDR image, but not like your typical disgusting looking HDR, more refined, toned down HDR, just to give me a bit of options. Focus just on the cliffs there, f16, ISO 100, 2-second timer. I think what I'm going to do now, and I don't always do this, which is so stupid, is to just sit with the landscape just for a couple of minutes and just sit and observe what's around, where the light is. It's really easy just to come and just take a photo and not really take it in. So I'm going to do that and we'll see if we can come up with a better composition. So after sitting for a while, I've noticed a few things that I really like. These cliffs behind me have got these lovely patches of kind of pink or cream in them, which I really like. And just up there is another little village. And then right down in the valley, if I lift you up, is lots of little buildings, maybe farms, actually down in the Lauterbrunnen Valley. And right at the end of the valley, there's a kind of a big cascade or waterfall. It's hard to get all of that in, so I really need to try and nail down the composition. I've also got a bit of cloud descending now, which might obscure all of this view. So I need to be pretty quick. So the next thing I thought I'd do is just use a wider angle on the 16-35 and try and capture a panoramic. I'm using a bit of a wider angle because I know I'm going to have to crop the top and bottom to actually make the panoramic, if it even stitches. So if it stitches, I'll show you that next. So as you can see, I've put on the 70-200 just to try and isolate more of the things. I'm finding it really difficult to kind of take it all in. The thing about living in Western Australia is we don't really have any mountains, and these are the first mountains I've seen in about 3 years because of everything that's happened in the world. So it's almost like I have to get my mountain eye used to seeing mountains again and trying to come up with a composition. If it might make no sense, but it kind of makes sense to me. I've got this composition, I've got a little bit of the valley floor, and I've chopped out a lot of the sky just because there's a lot of cloud and there's really not much happening at the minute. 2-second timer. Right, so for this next composition, I've gone right to the 200mm end of this lens, and I think it's a hotel just on the cliff edge. What I'm trying to do is just kind of frame that in the bottom corner to give a sense of scale. I've got to work quickly now because these clouds are really descending now. Now I think there might be a little bit of camera wobble there, so I'm going to do it even more gently, even though I'm using a 2-second timer. With a 200mm lens, it's going to amplify any of that movement. All right, let me know in the comments what you think of that one. So I've zoomed out a little bit. I'm just trying to finesse the idea of having this hotel to give a sense of scale. And I've also managed to get some of the houses down in the valley in, but I can see some fog coming into the valley now. So I just make sure my exposure is where I want it to be. Once again, I'm bracketing here just to give me some options in post. I'm having a lot of fun actually, just chilling out at this spot. There's no one else here, and just taking it all in really. So now I've got the kind of obvious composition not out of the way, but you know, in the bag hopefully, of the valley and the town and everything. I'm just trying to pick out a bit more detailed vignettes of the landscape, like this one here. Let's just take it. It's just of the side of a mountain really, and we've got some cloud coming across it. So what will probably be maybe the final image. I've switched to the 24-70 Sigma because the minimum of 70 of that zoom lens was a bit too tight, and the 16-35 was a bit too wide. So I'm going to see if this 24-70 can kind of bridge that gap really. I'm going to start off by trying a panoramic stitch. Once again, I'm bracketing here, doing this pretty quickly actually, because I'm getting pretty cold and I stupidly forgot my jumper. All right, I'll throw that photo up on screen in just a minute. Make sure you subscribe for more landscape photography, and I'll see you in the next one.